Beautiful Friday. It's my buddy Jonathan taking off with his daughter. Been working all day. It's tiring. And you can see that the redbuds, I keep wanting to say rosebuds, redbuds are really coming in. Wait till you see the road coming in. So many redbuds everywhere. There's big pockets of them out in the woods. Even in the woods here, I can see just huge pockets of redbuds. It's beautiful. You'll have to forgive me, my eyes are, I don't know, dry, they sting, so I'm like squinting and not really looking around too much. A couple hard days. It's getting beautiful. So the big thing that we've been working on is the garage. But I'm going to live in that, so we're framing in the doorways. So you see the 9-inch bay is not 9-foot bay is not framed in, but the 16 foot, Jesus. The 16-foot bay is. Now, so the way it works is, as I stumble through the grass, we have a window there on the corner, and yeah, it's a big 5-foot tall window. And then you have the door on the side. And then as you enter, this entire room will be open. Now, the bathroom will be on this side here. We'll do an addition because way off over there is the well. So the water will come in here, and we'll do the power pole a little bit further up. We don't like lines crossing, so the power pole will be a little further up. So yeah, and then the septic will run out the back and down the hillside. As you can see, there's a couple more 5-foot tall windows. 5-foot tall window, another 5-foot tall window, and another one, and then your 9-foot tall opening and your 9 feet wide and 16-foot wide opening, and then of course the other window. Now this one here is likely going to be initially, while I live in here for the foreseeable future, will be a set of French doors so that I look out at the property here. So yeah, it's coming together. Can you believe that? Just hold on. Take a step back. Now, spin around here. Make everybody that's watching this dizzy. Look at the amount of framing that went into this. This is actually, it's believe it or not, it's probably only about $2,500 worth of wood. And other materials. I don't know what I've got into it at this current time. I have to add the numbers up. But it's not terribly expensive. But we got here this far in 2 days. Okay, well, 1 day for the slab, 2 days for the framing, and then turns out the roof trusses will be started on Monday. Today's Friday, so Monday the roof truss will be started, and they'll be finished by Wednesday. Thursday they will deliver. So I might be taking time off of work next weekend as well. Sometime next week. We're supposed to get rain on Sunday. That sucks. There could be worse things. So we're not going to sheet the thing with OSB until after the rain, and then we're hoping that we got a good clear shot to throw the roof on, skin the roof, the whole 9 yards. The roof is a complex structure. If you're not in the know, you need to have it's code, a residential code, of course, not a garage code, but since I'm living in here and this is going to be a heated structure, I'm abiding by the residential code. So by the residential code, you should have ventilation through your roof up to the either gable vents, or which is less desired anymore, or roof vent, which is highly desired. It's a ridge vent. I'm tired, so I'm probably using my words poorly. Sorry. So the idea is that we're going to, these are, believe it or not, 6-inch trusses. So 2x6s. Yeah, it's gonna be heavy. But with that, we can go 2 foot on centers, and then in between, we're going to put in a tack strip. I don't know if that's probably the best word for it, but basically a nailing strip. And in between the trusses will be sheets of OSB, and what that will allow is a 1 inch to 2 inch barrier for airflow to go up to the roof, to the ridge. And that should allow for basically reduction of heat or cold transmission between the insulated structure, which will be underneath, and the roof itself. And then when the roof gets sheeted straight across, it will have OSB, ice and water barrier, and the metal will be nailed right to the structure, which, by the way, conforms to code. So this will be a pretty code. I don't have any inspections. I'm not required to. I find them to be a pain in the ass. But the structure will be basically pretty code compliant. There's probably a few things we're not doing that's code compliant. You can see back in the back windows, we did some framing with some leftover 2x4s. They're triple stud 2x4s. The windows aren't terribly heavy. We do have the proper cripple studs in there, but yeah, it's not completely code compliant. There are a few pieces that are not finished yet. Most notably, that front window is missing a stud underneath the window. And yeah, we'll add that later. I'll add that later probably. Yeah, that's about it. That is my new digs. I'll be living in this structure, 1,200 square feet, kind of like a big studio, a very big studio, considering even modern 3-bedroom houses are between 1,250 to 1,300 square feet. You know, like if you're like in Austin, Texas or something like that. So this is going to be a rather large structure. And that, by the way, does not include that I'm adding a bathroom as an additional, structure on this. So that's just right now TBD. And it's just so we can focus on this. And I figure the bathroom, so the idea for why I didn't have the bathroom built in initially, and I do get asked that question once in a while, is that this is intended to be a workshop, garage, whatever you want to call it. And I did not want to impede the floor space in here. It is an extra deep garage, extra deep. I think they consider extra deep to be 26 or 28 feet, and this is 30. So this is pretty deep, but I didn't still want to impede that. I can park the truck in here, and I can still have 5 feet behind it. So it's extra deep. That allows me to have, counter space and shelving or whatever else I need. And then over here, somewhere in here, I haven't decided yet, I will have a doorway put in that will allow me to go out, into the bathroom. I will have washer and dryer, toilet, sink, and a shower. Actually, it'll be a bathtub, because quite honestly, after a long day worth of work, sometimes it's nice to soak in a damn tub. I'm a man. I'm not afraid to admit it. I like to soak in a tub. I like to grab a beer, and I like to soak in the tub. Showers, I love showers. I don't hardly ever, even when I had a bathtub, I hardly ever used it. But once in a while, the damn thing was nice. And let's face it, I'm not getting any younger. So that's what this is. The next structure will probably be a proper woodworking shop. I mean, honestly, I'll probably pull all my woodworking tools and keep them in here because this will be a nice structure for that. I'll pull all my stuff out of storage, which isn't very much considering it's a 5-foot wide storage unit. But I do have a beautiful couch in there. I've got my bed in there. It'd be nice to sleep in my own bed for a change. All my cooking utensils, you know, junk like that. It'll be nice to live like a human being again. Just look at the structure and dare to dream. Now we haven't trued up the corners yet to make sure. Like I am suggesting that they need to, you know, cross diagonals and make sure that we've got it trued, and then we're gonna, you know, we'll brace it so that it's maintains its you know, trued shape. The sides are equal length, so which is good. Yeah, we're on the ball. We're near. Yeah, I'm not gonna look at that. Yeah, we flashed the footer so that the wood is not right against the concrete. The well, that was a little bit of a disappointment. But in looking at, okay, so let me tell you what the disappointment is first. The disappointment is that it came up cloudy, which is really unfortunate. And yeah, we went through some slate, which is the first bad thing. Yeah, look at that. You see all the dog tracks through this? It's not my dog. I cannot tell if those are... There's 2 sets, actually. I cannot tell if that's a domestic dog or not. Just normally you can tell by the distance of the tracks apart because wild dogs have a very narrow gait. There's some deer tracks. Okay, anyway, distraction. Yeah, it went through some bad layers of material. It's cloudy. And there's a couple possibilities for that. But I did take a sample of the water. It's sat, and the cloudiness actually, it clarified a lot. It's not to say the water's great, but in fact, I would say it clarified almost perfectly. So it appears to be sediment, which could be from drilling, or it could be that the water is through like a, I don't know, shale or sandstone or something that's, I don't know, whatever, basically eroding. It could be through rainwater that's getting in. The well's 126 feet deep, so it isn't likely that it's rainwater, but if it's a solid sheet and we have had rain, then it could be rainwater that's actually getting through the layers. You can imagine like a tiny, you know, like cracks that are through sheets of rock, but so the water gets through the sheets and contaminates. But the most likely is that it's from a drilling process, and it might be that we have to filter the water or something else. But the good news about the well is we're getting roughly 70 gallons per minute out of that well. That's a hell of a lot of water. If you think about that in residential terms, a residential house, the pumps are set at 12 to 15 gallons per minute. You know, and I can pull 70. Well, that's mostly what the ground is providing, and it's not common, actually. It turns out that most wells, or especially around here, they struggle to. There are people that have gone 1,200 feet, and they're only getting, 3 gallons per minute. So we're getting a pretty good rate. And that really just speaks to capacity, or capability, I should say. It's the pump that really provides your how many gallons per minute you're actually getting. And of course, I've got a standard residential pump, and so I'll get 15 gallons per minute. But I'll basically never be short of water. It's another beautiful day in the neighborhood. And we can see these are, God, don't they remind you of hickory? But that does not look like a hickory. I don't know what these things are. They are all over the place. And when I look at those leaves remind me of hickory. But again, that is not a hickory structure to me. Maybe it's the way they come up when they're young. You can kind of see it's like greening up. We had a really excuse me. By the way, in case you're wondering, today's choice after hour drink is KBS, the original Imperial Stout. Eat your shorts, Eric. Anyway, that wasn't very nice. We had some rain, so the stream is full up. Believe it or not, that was actually a couple days ago. It was a huge, sizable rain. And it's still flowing pretty damn good because it was really coming down. Never really got that deep, in my opinion. A bit deeper than this. I'd say it probably barely covered this rock right here, so it's probably a good 9 inches deeper than it is now. And that was a huge rain. Overall, everything's going pretty good out here. Tomorrow we'll come out here and I'll probably plant the power pole. I'm going to plant it, and hopefully it's in a decent location. I look at these trees once in a while and I wonder what they are. And when we look at these leaves here, you can see the kind of look like a, I don't know, like a river birch or something. One can only hope. Of course, I know, like this tree right here, I've come to identify this structure, you know, the crazy bark structure, as being a gum tree. They're quite common around here, so pretty much they're everywhere. I don't have to worry about them. They're the least concerned category of trees. These, I have no idea what these are yet. There's very few of these, as far as I can tell. Yeah. And of course, you recall, this is as far as I got working on it. It's considerably cleaner. It's not perfect. I have not worked on the other side of the pond yet. Got to this point, still have some more work to do. And then we'll tackle some of this. And really, it's just recreational at this point. I've exceeded my expectations for this year, but I have this strong desire to get everything done, everything to look the way I see it. So, I'll just point out a couple little things if you're looking at this. Gale. Ching, that's a red bud. Right next to, if you can see the barn right next to it, which is like just behind the tree over here. So red bud next to the barn. There's actually quite a few next to the barn. And if you were to look out there, you'd of course see, see if I can point to it here. Ching, right there, I think. And then up by the really nasty area, there's a whole ton of them. If you were to stand back and look at the woods, like even from right here, and I know you're not gonna be able to make this out on like a TV or anything, but right in here you can actually see a red bud through the trees there. behind what I believe is the maple with the, fuzzy, seed looking things. Oh, well, hang on. The other side, by the way, even as ugly as the other side is right now, you wouldn't believe how much redbud there is back there. So I'll just point out that you'll see a redbud here, and right down over here there's a little bitty redbud coming out. And there's actually another redbud underneath this redbud, and another one right over here. There's oh well, there's another one right over here. There's tons and tons of redbud back there. It's insane. And tons of these little guys. Overall, I'm living in paradise out here. So, just thought I'd share it with you. Yeah, I still got a lot to clean up in here. But I'm just really tickled. I can see the rocks over here finally. It's a very clean looking area compared to what it used to look like. It'll give a lot of the, floor an opportunity. Forgive me. Oh yeah. I just so love the flowers. And yeah, there's a lot of swallowtails out here today. Okay, so if you're looking at this, I'll just point out that if you look over the truck, you'll see, a red bud to the left, one right over the center, one to the right, another one in the right, left. There's a whole big bunch of red bud up there. Actually, it turns out I never even noticed that there's a red bud right here in the center. It's barely flowering, but it's there. And of course, the big mess that I worked on a few weeks back. Oh, geez. Was it a few or was it just a week back? I don't know. Turns out, I also got a beautiful red bud. Yeah. Well, that's about all I can say today. Of course, I can meander for hours. I'm just tickled right now. I mean, I'm going to be living in the lap of luxury, even though it technically is a garage. It's a very big structure. It will have no walls, which I sort of have to admit I love. And that'll give me ample time to consider the main house building. I've considered the idea that the main house may never happen. I doubt that in a way, but time sneaks up on us sometimes, and life happens, and the best laid plans go to waste. But if that were the last place I lived, it would be I think it's going to be a great place. I wait till you see it when it's more finished. You'll start to understand the vision, the electrical, the lights, the way the interior is going to look. I'm actually, despite having standard trusses made, I will actually be having a semi-vaulted ceiling in there. I will actually be have insulation against I told you about the ventilation that I'm having against the roof line, and that is to also provide a barrier to the insulation that I'll have on the underside of the roof. And on the underside to hold the insulation in place will be initially a plastic barrier, but I plan on putting like a tongue and groove pine behind that. And then I can, it's a 9-foot roof in there, so I will have plenty of room for ceiling fans and such. I will probably I'll have recessed lighting around the outside. I don't know about the whole outside, but maybe. A couple security lights, a couple extra outlets outside. On the inside, probably some recessed lighting, some extra outlets for things. Most of the outlets will probably be actually placed at a garage utility type level instead of the floor 16-inch off the floor kind of thing. It'll probably be more at the table height, which to me makes more sense. Even when you plug in the TV, you don't have the TV at the floor. There's very few things you actually honestly have at the floor anymore, you know. So to me, it will be a much cleaner look. I keep wondering when my asparagus is going to come up. Maybe it won't come up. Maybe it's too early. Maybe people have driven over it and killed it. Maybe. All right. I will leave off here. Have a good weekend.